Welcome back to Tea and Couch, where we spill all the tea about sexuality. I'm your host, Alisa Brunetti Mukai. In today's episode, we are going to cover something often talked about, but not deeply understood: Tantra. People associate Tantra with sex a lot, but it's actually much deeper than that. It's more about awareness and how we connect each other with bodies. Today, I have Filipa on the couch, and together we are going to dive into the magical world of Tantra. Welcome, Filipa.
Thank you, Alisa.
Would you like to start with introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Filipa Moniz, and once upon a time, I used to have a very different life. I was a biomedical scientist and a team lead in the corporate world in a very big pharmaceutical company in Switzerland. Can you imagine? And then COVID arrived, and my life changed from 1 month to another. I moved to Bali. I entered a yoga teacher training. I discovered Tantra, which is something I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what energy was, what any of these terms or ways of living were. And I started having a deep personal development transformation. And then 3 years ago, I decided to actually become a Tantra teacher and start bringing this to the world. So there's two parts of me. One that loves the science and the structure and the understanding and the reason of things. And that is actually where all my curiosity was initially channeled to. And now my curiosity is like on understanding love, relationships, sexuality, embodiment, how we can feel happy and fulfilled. And I don't do it so much anymore from a understanding of intellectual understanding or academic understanding of things, but from like living life and feeling it in my body and feeling it by observing the world around me.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Can you tell me more about your first encounter with Tantra? How was it like?
So my first encounter is a bit unusual. It was actually in the bedroom with a man, with a lover. So I had this kind of eat, pray, love awakening in Bali, where I was, doing already a lot of these practices that support the discovery of Tantra. So doing 1 hour breathing exercises every morning, maybe 3 hours of yoga, a lot of emotional cathartic work that were helping me to process patterns and past things in my life. And at the same time, I met a beautiful man during that training. During that 1 month, we were all in lockdown in a beautiful 5-star resort, so nothing to complain. And he started just suggesting like very simple things, like breathe slowly when we make love, try to relax instead of tensing your body. And he taught me also some specific like breathing techniques, like breathing from a straw or exhaling like with the sound. And and he started doing like massages to me, like just very deep, relaxing massages in my inner thighs, butt, belly, lower back. And my body was just so relaxed before we would make love that lovemaking started becoming this very calm thing of waves of arousal that would last like hours. And at the end of it, I would not feel tired and exhausted like before, after sex, but actually full of energy, like ready to go to a party.
Oh, wow.
And that energy kind of was in my body for days. Like I would feel like a queen irradiating this thing in everything. And then everything started becoming orgasmic, like colors, smells, riding on my scooter in Bali and the bumps on the road and like dancing with someone, I would immediately become aroused. And so he told me, this is Tantra. And okay, I was like, whatever this thing is called Tantra, I want more of this.
And for the people who doesn't know what Tantra is, how would you describe it?
I think you did a great job. You said it's much more than sex, it's about awareness, right? I love that word. I think the quality of awareness, which we can also say in different ways, like presence or consciousness or maturity in seeing beyond just the immediate. So perhaps start questioning also like things that are outside of just the physical body. Yeah, that's one way of explaining what Tantra is. Another way would be it's the only spiritual path that believes and brings sexuality as a beautiful sacred thing. So all other spiritual paths, all other religions either neglect sexuality or shame it or don't know how to deal with it.
That is true.
So they are kind of like asexual. And this one is the opposite. It's like, no, our sexual being, our erotic being is part of our human nature and is beautiful and is sacred and is divine, and there's nothing to feel scared or ashamed of. It's a very strong power. So let's use that power. Let's use the power of arousal to channel it into different things in our life. And that is one of the teachings of Tantra, is that you can allow yourself to be turned on and allow that turn on to transform. Can transform into work, into creating something new, in putting hours in a project. Can be transformed in love, in service, in caring for the others around. Can transform in the ability to speak out loud what we want, our desires. It can transform also in having more psychic abilities. So you start having bigger intuition, start seeing things. They can come in your dreams or in your meditations or during lovemaking. So I would say it's also this power of learning how to channel energetic arousal. Yeah.
Do you have that psychic ability awakening yourself also?
Absolutely. So this came before I even really understood what Tantra was. This came within this first month or that I met this man, and I had like this kind of, I call it the 6-month bedroom training during COVID. Yeah, that was one of the things that started to happen. It was during these really long sessions I started having visions of things I didn't really understand, that I assume is from past lives, but we can talk about what it could be or not. It doesn't really matter. It's just visions I had of very clear situations I have been, or I will be, or I have no idea how they came up. And also like, yeah, starting seeing things in my body. Like I started feeling like where different pains and emotions were stuck in my body. And I intuitively would know how I would need to move in order to release those blockages, I would call them. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people have a very different misunderstanding of the Tantra. And a lot of people think like it's a black sex magic or whatever. What are some myths that you want people to unlearn in that sense?
So first thing, I think Tantra is such a word that is used in so many different contexts in the world, especially in the Western world. And we kind of lack the vocabulary to distinguish different things. So many things are called, for example, tantric massage, which they are not a tantric massage. They are erotic massage, which is great. There's no prejudice for me. It's just that Tantra is about healing touch. Tantric massage is supposed to be something that can be arousing. The aim is not just to have pleasure. It could be to awaken your pleasure all over your body. The focus is also not on the genitals normally. And it can be actually completely non-targeting pleasure or arousal. It can be actually a deep healing relaxation massage of receiving touch in the genitals or around the genitals with the quality of care, which is something we normally never receive in life, because normally massage therapists will never touch these areas. And our partner or our lovers will always touch these areas normally touch these areas with an agenda, right? There is normally an expectation that after it will progress into a sexual act. So actually just receiving touch of deep, just relaxation as you would receive on the shoulders in this area is what for me is the power of tantric massage. So that is a big misconception. Then why you mentioned the word dark. I love this word. So I think there's also a big misconception between what is, at least the way we use it in Tantra, what is dark and what is shadow. So we love in Tantra to be connected with both the light and the dark. And what does that mean to me? For me, it means being connected with the spirituality, with intuition, with the creating ceremony and rituals in my life. And if you want, creating intentions, or if you are spiritual, you could call it prayers. But if you're not spiritual, you can call it intentions. It's pretty much the same thing. It works the same way in the brain. And darkness for me means connecting to the body, connecting to the matter, connecting to money, connecting to structures, connecting to houses where we feel, so like the things that we need in the material world to also feel like a human. So it's these two aspects of human existence, like our constantly seeking for understanding, the more mental, more upper realms, and the darkness is this necessity to also embody your power, like the rawness of it, the animalistic part of it. And the shadow, which I think is normally confused with darkness, is when power or something is distorted, either because there's a lack of it, an excess of it, or a shaming or suppression of it. So why, for example, let's give you an example. Why do people that are really dedicated to light topics, like priests, spiritual guides, and why do we have so many sex scandals with this kind of people? Is because there's no embodiment of the darkness, of like, I also am a human being with human desires, but I live in this way that I cannot connect to it because of whatever image I want to give to the world. So then, because the darkness or human animalistic part becomes in the shadow, becomes like, I don't want to see it, then it comes expressed in very distorted ways. So in Tantra, we like to bring all of this into awareness and presence, so that things don't need to be in the shadow.
That's beautiful. What are some parts of like your own shadow and the shame that you kind of discovered in your journey?
Great question. Yeah. Let me give you an example. Like the shadow of my lightness is I love people. I'm very extrovert. I have many friends. I love my family. And then in order to receive love back, I kind of have a tendency sometimes to forget about myself and become an overgiver. So that is a shadow, because I start becoming the excess version of caring for others, where I disconnect from my center. So, but there is an agenda running in the background, which is I want to receive the love back. But I'm so anxious to have it that, for example, so that's one shadow, for example. Another shadow could be that I'm scared of my own darkness. I actually just created a post about that, or my own power, my own ability to protect my money, my belongings, my family, my people, and so this fear of this power that I don't allow sometimes to come in full force, or to come in, just in my being in daily life, makes me actually to procrastinate and to be like, oh no, I don't need to be so strong. I don't need to be. So that is also a shadow. It's like not wanting to, having fear and wanting to put away also something that is good for me, which is this raw animalistic power that we all have inside of us. And there's more. There's a long list.
I mean, I think shadow work is not very beginner friendly, but is there any like beginner friendly Tantra practice, something practical that you can share for people who have like no idea?
Clue. Absolutely. 3 pillars of Tantra: breath, sound, and movement. If you bring those 3 things more into your life, including in your lovemaking, your life will change, like it changed for me. So this first lover I had in Bali, this first tantric lover that initiated me, that's what he did. He taught me how to breathe. Also, he didn't really need to teach me how to sound because I was already very expressive in sexual and lovemaking, but I definitely became much more expressive. And I also became much more expressive in sound in general in life. So like when I eat, I really enjoy and I make like really strong pleasure sounds. And it's so funny how that like triggers some people because we are not used to so much expression, right? In the West, and I mean in general in the world. So yeah, breathing more. So breathing deeply, also in daily life, just breathing deeply, breathing slowly, learning how to hold your breath in on the inhale and on the exhale. Then if you want to go deeper, you can do, more breathing exercises you can look up online. Pretty much every athlete has to learn how to do breathing exercises for a reason, because it makes them perform better. So if all of us would learn how to breathe better, we would perform more in life. So breath, sound, and movement. We have such a sedentary life that if we start bringing movement, and this maybe like more like has a tantric practice, would be like you actually move in front of the mirror, maybe in the morning or in the evening, has a way to connect and see your own body. And you put some music on that you like and you dance in front of a mirror, or you can even do it naked and start learning to love your body. Or for women, I even say the next level would be get a small mirror and actually look at your vulva, because anatomically we have much less connection with our genitals because we cannot see them. Whereas men, they just look down and they see it straight away. So they have a much closer connection with their genitals. So yeah, these are a few tips. I can continue, but
Is there any daily exercise that you do in your life?
good question. Yeah, so that could be one of my weaknesses, is like having very fixed things for a long time.
Yeah, I'm very bad at that also.
So I need diversity. One thing for sure nowadays that I have more time and space in life is that I notice that when I wake up in the morning and I'm still in bed and haven't moved too much, I have like a special connection with, I would call it my higher self, or a wisdom that I don't normally have access during the day when the life becomes very mental and intellectual and to-do lists and so on. So there is a moment in the morning where I just feel like I can solve problems. I have answers that come to me. I have this like surge of creativity. So actually many times my deepest posts and my deepest shares come from actually just grabbing the phone straight away, not to check my WhatsApp or my messages, but to create content. Like I straight away have like this, like I'm gonna connect this picture or this video with this text, and that's the message I want to give. So I would say that that has become my biggest practice, is learning how to harvest that moment in the morning. And sometimes it's not like outward energy, sometimes it's the inward energy. So actually I go into self-pleasure. or I go into what in Tantra we call sex magic. So I start manifesting my life and what I want and my dreams, and I pleasure myself in that moment. So it's also psychologically explained. So basically, you are creating neural paths in your body and in your brain that image that you want and that you see yourself already in the future, you are associating with pleasurable sensations.
How does it actually look like to work with energy consciously? Can you give me some example?
Yeah, of course. So it's all about focus. So nowadays, if I close my eyes or even with the eyes open, like there is a place in the lower back on the bottom of the spine that we call this like where is our Kundalini energy stored. So if I have so much energy in this place that normally I start my meditations there to awaken the energy all over the body, because I feel like there's a volcano. For you, you might find different parts. Everyone has their own, but yeah. So for me, I focus there, and then I connect with my whole spine, and I start breathing in and visualizing like even something coming out of my head, and then breathing out and visualizing going to the bottom of the spine. And then the more awareness I have on my spine, then I start like visualizing it going to different parts of my body. So maybe I start like feeling I want to feel this finger, or I want to feel this one, or I want to feel this, or I want to feel my head. And so you just start practicing having what happens when you have like awareness in different parts of your body. And physiological things happen. Like if you start focusing on something, it is scientifically proven that more blood will flow, heat will grow, more cells will go. That's why we have like these people that are able to like heal themselves in some way through meditation. This is the power of the mind to bring what you need into a certain part of the body. And so we can call it energy moving, but there's also physiological things happening. So when I think a lot of things that we call energy is things that we cannot yet explain with science. So that's my approach as a scientist, you know? And so I'm okay as a scientist to not be able to explain everything and to not have the vocabulary to everything, and to accept that just by observation that certain things happen.
And when you first started discovering Tantra as a scientist, what was some question you had? Because it's such a mystical thing compared to science, right?
Yeah. I think I didn't really have so many questions because I didn't go to a workshop where people were telling me how things work. And I didn't see podcasts, you know. I actually experienced it in my body. So it was more like there was no question. It was more about what the hell is happening? Please, someone explain to me. Why, after, whatever, 6 weeks maybe of being in Bali, I had in a meditation of just like looking into the jungle and being with my heart open, I had the biggest orgasm of my life, just standing and not moving, which came from here. And I was like, what the hell is that? Like, I was so shocked with the experience that I could not really talk about it for like 2 or 3 days. And then I went to ask my teacher, like, I had this thing happening to me. I'm scared. Like, that was most of the time my questions actually were like, I'm scared. Like, I don't understand this. I never heard about this. And she was like, don't worry. You just had a Kundalini awakening, and all your life will change from now on. You'll become much more sensitive, and you will never be able to do anything that's not fully aligned with what you are passionate about. And I was like, okay, what is Kundalini?
So casually, right? Don't worry, your life will change now. Nothing big.
And the truth is, it happened exactly like she said. So those were more my kind of questions, you know. No, they were not so much like questions from the scientific side, like is this real or not, or yeah.
What are some either the conversation or like a tantra practice you want to see more in the world?
Oh, beautiful question. Mm. So I'm really passionate about health. That's why I became a biomedical scientist. And so now, as a Tantra teacher, I'm really passionate about healthy relationships. And I think relationships are such a huge part of our life that have such a big impact also on disease and well-being, that what I would love to see more in the world is healthy relationships that can come alive through Tantra, through this practice of awareness and presence and curiosity for what is happening with the other person, what is happening with me, what are my needs. Actually, I think my biggest desire is healthy communication, and Tantra is part of the teaching, is like this curiosity about how can I have healthy communication with my partner.
What is the difference between Tantra and Neo Tantra?
Hmm. Thank you for asking that. So ancient old Tantra comes from different lineages. So you have the Tantra that is from India, you have the Tantra that is actually more from China, from Taoist practices. So those classical tantric teachings were very much more on the spiritual realm of Tantra. So what we nowadays would call most likely white Tantra. And the sexuality part of it was a very small portion. So there's like I think 112 teachings from classical Tantra, and I think just a couple of them mention slightly this part of like how does sexuality come into life. So it's actually very close to Buddhism and Hinduism and yoga. So all of this is much more similar to classical Tantra. Neo Tantra is very different. It's much more about embodiment and how we feel, and how can we use, like what I was mentioning before, how we can use the sexual energy to change things in our body, how can we channel emotions, how can we process things, how can we do sex magic, so in Neo Tantra there's also a lot more than just sex. There's also a lot about communication, about being aware of your shadows, about all these things that come into love and come into the bedroom, and how the bedroom is so much related to how you behave in the bedroom, is so much related to how you behave in pretty much everything else in life, in your business, in your the way you relate to people, you do collaborations and many things that are how you relate to your friends, so a lot of things come out of it. So so in more modern terms, we have actually distinguishes between colors. So we have this white Tantra, red Tantra. What is the difference? So white Tantra is way more about meditation and presence and awareness in this pure state with no sexuality. And red Tantra is actually a full embodiment of sexuality. If you want, is a bit more dark, like what we were mentioning before. Is a little bit more like, yes, it's okay to be a sacred slut. It's okay to have multiple partners. It's okay to explore your sexual fantasies, as long as you bring awareness and consciousness, intention. You talk about your fears before and your boundaries. You talk about afterwards how you integrate things. And that's how red Tantra and maybe Neo Tantra is different from going to a swingers club or just going to a BDSM club, is that there is a lot of emphasis in what is the integration and how that this transform me and what does it mean for what I want in life. And I would add one more thing, which is I would say I work with pink Tantra.
It's a pink Tantra.
So I would say something in between. So my workshops, my retreats, my classes, I don't hold spaces for pure sexual act, so intercourse or oral sex or those things is not something I'm very interested into holding space for. What I'm interested in is the in-between, is using the power of arousal, turn on, and sensuality. So yes, I think using the power of being in a lingerie, learning how to do a lap dance for your partner, for your beloved, dancing sexy in front of the mirror. This is my kink, if you want. This is the thing I like, my thing.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Filipa. And as a last question, I always ask my guest, what is a tea you want to spill to your younger self? So is there any tea you want to spill to your younger self about Tantra?
So in the sense, like what I wish I would have known earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Great question. I actually wish, knowing now that I would become such a big spiritual person and that like this would have become such an important part in my life, I wish I would have had more fun and focused more on creating money and structure for allow my personal development life to grow in a more relaxed way. I mean, it's okay, but I would say like I was really focused on intellectual pursuits and charisma and image and approval of society and parents and doing things that I would have appreciation for. And I wish I would have focused more on just being a bit more selfish, you know, and creating structures for myself, making money, and don't take things so seriously. Like, yeah, definitely when I would have had dreams that now don't make sense anymore to pursue, but that at the time would have made a lot of sense, and I didn't because I prioritized, this fame and whatever, good grades or ambitious career.
Yeah,
So I don't.
makes sense. Well, thank you so much, Filipa.
Pleasure. Thank you, dear.